Hi folks, and welcome to the Film channel. And today I have something different for you, because I know you guys can watch knives and tools all the time, or whittling and carving, but what I also really love is collecting local myths and local legends. And I have got something to appetize you for what's up to come. Because this is a gorgeous little rock crystal I found once upon a time in the Alps on a really, really beautiful hike at just an awesome, awe-inspiring place, because this was sort of a tunnel through the rock, and there were icicles all over the place, but also rock crystals. And a local friend of mine showed me around the place, and I will be forever grateful for this magical moment, because we were there when the sun went up, and the light was falling into this tunnel, and there were rainbows all over the place, and this was a really magical moment. This little rock crystal, this is all that I took. There were much larger ones and much more of them, but this is all I took, because I was just so grateful for this moment, and I just wanted a token to take it. This is something really magical about the real world that is actually happening, and that's actually there. And you don't need to make big words about this, because it's just there, and it is something. It is perfectly okay to tell yourself stories about these, and maybe I'm confusing my memory too, because it was just so awe-inspiring, and I've been feeding on this moment, which happened a good 20 years ago, for 20 years now, and I will continue to do so for 20, 40. If I'm permitted to live that long years still. And this is something that doesn't make me any better than anyone. I'm not superior to any other human being, because I had the privilege to be there. So, but it's something I'm grateful for, and that's really humiliating for me. And the humility is something that I find a little scarce in these Western or westernized, appropriated spiritual beliefs, because if you've been there, how can you possibly feel any superior to anyone? It was so humiliating. We are so small, and yet this beautiful planet is so abundant with wonders, and these wonders have inspired people to create stories, and personally I think that stories are a huge part of decolonialization, and I have brought with me a book most of you guys might be acquainted to, and I want to explore something with you which is to me really intriguing, but first things first, I would like to read something, and this is, of course, the book The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. If you're not yet acquainted with it, even if you don't like it, I suggest you at least try to read it. It's a little bit it has a little bit the undertone of a children's story, and that I've personally liked that because the world is full of grave things happening. Grave things are also happening in the book, but the undertone makes it really easy to digest the dangers in this book. You know, all will turn out well because it's got the tone of a children's book. We will see whether or not it was intended to. Maybe we will see. I don't feel entitled to tell you what to think. So but fairest of all was the great white gem, which the dwarfs had found beneath the roots of the mountain, the heart of the mountain, Arkenstone of Thrawn. The Arkenstone, murmured Thorin in the dark, half gleaming, with his chin upon his knees. It was like a globe with 1,000 facets. It shone like silver in the firelight, like water in the sun, like snow under the stars, like rain upon the moon. Page 248. You may see it, said he. It is this. And he drew forth the Arkenstone and threw away the wrapping. The elven king himself, whose eyes were used to things of wonder and beauty, stood up in amazement. Even Bard gazed marveling at it in silence. It was as if a globe had been filled with moonlight and hung before them in a net woven of the glint of frosty stars. This is the Arkenstone of Thrawn, said Bilbo, the heart of the mountain. And it is also the heart of Thorin. He values it above a river of gold. I give it to you. It will aid you in your bargaining. Then Bilbo, not without a shudder, not without a glance of longing, handed the marvelous stone to Bard, and he held it in his hand as though dazed. What I find rather important there is the following. This is the Arkenstone of Thrawn, said Bilbo, the heart of the mountain, and it is also the heart of Thorin. Because this is not without mythological depth and of a certain importance, because in southern Tyrolia there's a valley which is called the Farnes Valley, and the Farnes were a mythic kingdom that were reputed to live there. And indeed you can find a lot of archaeological evidence in the region up from the Neolithic and maybe even earlier, but the Golden Age might have happened in the Bronze Age, and there are rock carvings all over the place. There are findings of artifacts, and the culture which is still alive today is the Ladinic culture, and fortunately we have a canon of several local legends about the Farnes, and there is a legend about one sorcerer which is reputed to be evil, and he's called Spina de Mul. in the Ladinic language, which is related to Latin, and you can already see that Latin and Ladinic are closely related, and it's really fascinating because there's also another hero, for instance, that who is called adamant, and he that translates to Eye of Night, referring to his extraordinary eyesight. And he's the hero of the stories of the Fanes. And Spina de Mul is the spine of the mule, which is absolutely stunning because this is in way down south, and it is really closely related to English. And I have to look into that, by the way. I've been meaning to for ages now, but until now I haven't found the time to do so, or the occasion, or the motivation, maybe, I must admit. But this Spina de Mul is said to be something that looks like the skeleton of a mule, or sometimes a donkey or a mare. And actually, the myth of Spina de Mul is widespread throughout the Alps, and often as kind of a nightmare. This is the mare of the night that rides people in their bad dreams. And but on the other hand, Spina de Mul is the owner of a really, really precious stone called the rayeta. The rayeta is a stone which is described almost identical to the description in The Hobbit, and it is also said that it is the heart of the mountain. It is a heart of darkness. It's in the deepest darkness beneath the root of the mountain. There is an unfathomable, an indomitable light that is shining in the darkness, and you can only find it if you go into the deepest darkness beneath the root of the mountain. And Spina de Mul, the nightmare, is, well, maybe something like the guardian of that stone. Now, Tolkien never was in southern Tyrolia, so you can't possibly make the connection between the Rayeta and the Arkenstone. But where Tolkien was in Switzerland. In 1911, he was on holiday there, and he was hiking around the Jungfrautal and the Eiger and that region in Switzerland, and he related that a lot of his landscapes were inspired by the landscape in the Swiss Alps, and including Kelebdil and Caradras, the three peaks above Moria, and all that. And if you look at the local legends in that area, you also find a sorcerer like Spina de Mul. I forgot the name because I'm all crap at Schweizerdeutsch, and so it didn't stick in my mind, and I just looked it up before the video yesterday, to be precise. And but there is also a myth of a heart of the mountain, and it's and this was rather intriguing to me because I have collected local legends of the Alps myself, just for the root of it, I always visited the Styrian Alps, and what you get there, same. There's also a sorcerer, and there's also the legend of the crystal at the root of the mountain. And this seems to be a really, really old mythology, being still existent in local folklore. You must be careful in order to find out the background why this is, because it's not that simple. Because take for instance the depictions of the Krampus or Wild Hunt or Furious Host depictions or Perchtenlauf in the Alps, because these are really, really recent. They are deriving from the 18th and 19th century, and maybe they were even invented by the church. In order to show people, well, that's the Krampus, and the Bishop Nikolaus keeps him in chains, because this is how Krampus is often depicted in the parades. So you must be really careful not to confuse things, and it is really it would be really nice to make a connection back towards the Bronze Age, but most of the time you will be going awry with this. There is no tradition in this, and often the people trying to do this are falling for some Blut and Boden bullshit, because they so much want a genuine Germanic mythology that unites all Germans, but well, a German was a guy with a spear. And in my region alone, there were about, don't let me lie, about 15 different nations. It's a little bit like the First Nations in America. And so there were similarities, and but they were not even. There is no racial identity. It's not happening. It's not. It's disproven by science. And there also the cultural identity and the cultural homogeneity of identity is also something that is really disputed, because, well, you get a similar style in artifacts and art and what we find, and we get similarities in language. But as someone who wanted to preserve the local dialect and was trying to create a vocabulary and a grammar with my then professor, Professor Menge, and I can say there are at least 4 dialects in one city alone. This is in one region, 4 dialects. They are similar, they understand each other, but they don't like each other at all. And this is something that hints of. Also, this is obviously an abbreviation too, so don't quote me on that. But this is something you could imagine for the golden age of Germanic tribes. So that's sad. This is one of the reasons, not because I would be afraid of some ideology or something, and not because I want to disrupt anyone's imagination of something. I like myself a really great story, and if you want to tell a story and tell that this is a story, I'm perfectly fine with that. But please don't claim you are superior to anyone else because there is some Germanic identity. It isn't. There isn't. There's no proof of something like that, and it doesn't need to be in the first. So you must be very careful because there's a lot of bullshit around too, and also don't believe everything you think too, because it can be misleading too. Science is a good thing. Science and myth should be two ways of understanding the world, because they are. And myth is another form of science. Myth is not something that's not true. You just need to understand the grammar of myth and the grammar of the stories and the grammar of storytelling. If you know the grammar of storytelling, you can find out the actual truth behind it. And this is absolutely fascinating, and it opens up a whole new world. And oh, something happening there. Someone coming there. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities if you see it that way. So it's not that I want to take anything from anyone, but quite the contrary. If you see it that way, and don't believe everything you think, as I said, if you think that dwarves are little aliens or dwarves are supernatural beings, that depends on the story, and you need to really distinguish the story. And don't call them dwarves because it's racist. Actually, really, because really, it's a racist term made to denominate someone with a different physis, and it was actually there's proof for that it is. And the thing is, if you look at the legends in the Alps and everywhere where there is a mountain involved, you can find, this is obviously a bold statement of mine, so, and not a theory, but the first steps towards a theory. So don't quote me on that either, but it seems to be. Maybe it's better if I put it that way. It seems to be that everywhere where there are mountains involved and where you can find maybe some rock crystals. I don't know if it's rock crystals that were the impetus for creating such a myth or something. I don't know. But having seen this beautiful event in that tunnel high up in the Alps, I could perfectly understand this. Or maybe it's just icicles. Because we were in this tunnel and it was pitch dark, and then the light came up and everything was full of color, and it was I get goosebumps when I remember the pictures, and it will stay with me until my death. And it has made me a different person. And so what I want to say is the legends in the Alps are really too frequent to be entirely dismissed, and it is a really beautiful thing, and it really raises this awesome book onto another level. It's even greater with the Silmarillion and and the Lord of the Rings and the Lost Tales, and there is so much mythology in them. I laughed my ass off when after the battle on the Pelennor fields there was this lament for the fallen, and there was this thing, Hirluin the Beautiful, or the Fair. Hirluin the Fair didn't return to whatever he came from, and it's just, that's just a joke. He just put a joke in, because Hirluin is Harlequin, Harlequin's hunt, and maybe he intended to create another story where maybe Hirluin the Fair would turn into Harlequin, because don't know. I don't know what he wanted to do. He wrote a sequel to The Lord of the Rings, which he dismissed because he found it to be too dark. Maybe, I don't know. We cannot know. But as Tolkien himself said, the beauty of a myth or a legend or a story is that you can see some towers in the distance, which are eloquent, and you can see them, but you don't know about them. And you want to know, but you can't, because you didn't write about it. And that's something really that really raises this work to extraordinary heights of art, because this is something that's almost impossible to create. I know, because I try for 30 years now, or longer even. Actually 35, 38 years. And I write stories since I was a kid, and I created several languages, but actually it feels like crap, because when compared to Tolkien, and well, he was a professor, I'm not, and even though, well, I know a little bit myself, but it just feels like I'm copying Germanic languages and put some fancy endings to it, and make it impossible to learn. Something Tolkien also said about Elvish, because he found in his later years, he found it to be too complicated to be used as an actual language. Fortunately, he's wrong. So you can learn this, and there are pretty awesome dictionaries about it, and there are people talking Elvish on festivals, and that's really beautiful, and because it's a whole new world he has created, and it's not just a work of art that you put into on your shelf, and that's about it, because he didn't want to create an allegorical thing. He wanted it to be applicable, and it is, especially for our times. And maybe Morgoth, who owns the Silmaril, was inspired by Spina the Mul, the dark sorcerer who guards the Raieta. Or maybe it's Smaug, because Smaug has a lot, in my imagination at least, a dragon has a lot of similarity to the skeleton of a mule, and in other stories in the Alps, there's a dragon guarding the heart of the mountain, or a lindworm, as it's called there, or Tatzelwurm, or a worm. And so this is a lot of not something that you need to debunk or something. And I'm not trying to debunk the myth. Quite the contrary. I want to encourage you to see a story as a story, and enjoy it. And keep it where it belongs. Keep it in your heart. You can use your heart and your brain at the same time. That's the beautiful thing about science and myth. And they don't. We are being told that science and myth cannot go hand in hand. But if you listen to the sayings, say like from Einstein or Carl Sagan or Neil deGrasse Tyson or what have you, and even really unpopular scientists say this, because this is a way of understanding the world. And if everything's just atoms, well, atoms are a really fascinating thing. And this is what's the thing with science. Science is the new myth. But we have a far deeper understanding of myth nowadays. We have seen the end of the universe, and it's not just the end of the universe, but also the end of time and space. Because it's the end of the universe. We know that quantum physics work even though we don't have an explanation. And what I just want to say is, if you stay curious and if you don't believe everything you think, this is also important. You need to mirror yourself and ask yourself some uncomfortable questions all the time. On the other hand, this opens up the gate to a whole new world and a whole new understanding of the world. And I'm not saying even talking, but especially talking, I think is a wizard standing beside that gate and holding it open for the future, because we need to change. This is nothing new, and we know that, we all know that. This is not going to work anymore, what we have done. And it's not, but the Enlightenment movement was a great thing, only that it has been instrumentalized. It has been an instrument for oppression and tyranny. And that's not how it was intended. Quite the contrary. It was intended for everyone. And you can still use it. And it's a tool for your curiosity. And if you think along these lines, the world can be a really wonderful place. And it is a really wonderful place. Look at me. I'm standing in the forest and well, there's also the highway down there, and you might hear it, but on the other hand, what's a tree? A tree is unique to the whole universe, or the whole known universe, and it's a wonder. And a tree is the sole reason that we are alive on this planet. No, not the sole reason. Because a tree wouldn't be alive without bees and thing and this and that. And it's a whole system of wonder and awe that is keeping us alive. And maybe the Rajeta or the Arkenstone, well, that's a little bit too simple, but the device I'm talking to at the moment is made with rare earths. And it's nothing short of a Palantir. And even some cynic called a tool of total surveillance Palantir. And we are looking at Mordor or Thangorodrim or whatever. But I strongly believe that we can use the Palantir and direct it towards core, to the fair isles and of our imagination, obviously, to Valinor. And symbol, of course, But this is how it works, and I think we need a new mythology, and maybe it's already there, or maybe it's not a new mythology. Maybe it's been there all along, and we just need to rediscover it. So, I hope that was halfway entertaining for you, or inspiring, or I can really recommend, if you are some forest nerd and you haven't already, read The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and The Silmarillion, and if you want Lost Tales and everything, there's so much to read. I don't suggest you start with The Silmarillion or anything like that, because it's a little bit tough. But The Hobbit is a nice book to get started with, and I think you will want to know how the story goes on, and so you will quite naturally read The Lord of the Rings afterwards. And maybe after that, maybe, don't have to, but maybe afterwards you will discover The Silmarillion and all the other works, The Homecoming of Bearth-North, The Legend of Kullervo, and all the other works of Tolkien. And he also has some really awesome philological essays and scriptures and lectures that are well worth, if you can find it in you, to work yourself through this, because this is really not quite easy. And so, well, thanks for watching, and I really love the topic, and I will delve deeper into it, and so you might that might not be the last you have seen on this channel about this, and maybe I even do some Dunedain Ranger or Dwarven Ranger, because look at me, do I look like a Dunedain? No, I don't. Some Dwarven Ranger cosplay on this channel, who knows? I think my love would really cherish this. As I said, hope you enjoy the forest, and maybe a good story, and take good care, stay sane and healthy, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.